Okay. Uh,
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How do we address you? Damera, Hima, Vamshee. What's your first
Uh,
name?
my first name is Vamshee, sir. Sir, I'm
Vamshee.
unable to see you. Yes,
And
sir.
what is Hima? Hima is your...
Sir, actually, Hima Vamshee is my name, and
Hima
Damera is my
Vamshee.
surname.
Okay. So we can call you Vamshee.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vamshee, let us start by you introducing yourself and describing your personality. Please remember, when they ask you for introducing yourself, that's an occasion for you to basically uh, strengthen or talk about the points where it's the strongest and where you want the interview to go to. Okay.
Sir, I am Damera Hima Vamshee. I hail from Nalgonda, Telangana, and I've done my primary schooling in Nalgonda. Thereafter, I've graduated in geophysical technology from IIT Roorkee. My father is a doctor, he's a pediatrician, and my mother is a housewife. She takes keen interest in rooftop gardening. And other than preparing for UPSC, I've been mentoring some students in an NGO. And in my free time, I like to play basketball and I do travel.
What is geophysics? You have described geophysics as one of the area of which your hobby, or you have worked on that.
Geophysics has been my graduation subject, sir. It is using physical tools and the principles to study the earth. And it basically deals with resource exploration and also geomagnetism.
Okay. What remains actually rather strange to me is that despite so much of advances in science as the various models to predict what forecast about the movements within the earth, etc., we have so far not been able to develop any model to forecast earthquakes. So remember Turkey, what happened? And then after the earthquake, you now have the floods over there. So why we have not been able to develop a system for forecasting earthquakes so far?
Yes, sir. That has been a challenge. Actually, how earthquakes occur is that when there is a buildup of stress in the rocks, and they give up at a certain point of time when they cannot take that in a stress anymore. We have been trying to develop mechanisms as to see how much the rock can take, but unfortunately, we are not able to find the higher limit. And at times, due to various reasons, the rocks give up before what we have predicted. So there have been predictions done, but they have not been very accurate.
Okay. Let us not go toward earthquakes in that case. Even the areas like soil erosion, subsidence, the what happened in Joshimath or Doda later on, where the geophysicists have been working on the infrastructural project. They can't even talk about as to what the possibilities are and how they could be avoided.
Yes, the case of Joshimath has two types of reasons there are. One is the natural reasons, as to which the Joshimath lies in one of the most seismically active zones of the nation. And the rocks also there, they are convex slopes. The slopes are bulging out, which means there is a higher probability of landslides. And Joshimath, earlier it has been a pit stop, but due to unplanned urbanization, many people have settled there. It has developed into a destination. So there has not been proper drainage system developed there, and deforestation, etc. The water, the natural force of water has been not present, and it goes seeping into the ground, because of which there is rock slippage.
Mhm. Do you think that there are technologies possible to work on infrastructure along with the depth, along with the ecological protection?
Yes, sir. There are technologies we can take care. First thing we should do mapping of the vulnerable areas, and then we should avoid building any constructions in those vulnerable areas. And even otherwise, we should take care that the construction and buildings which we build, they should be appropriate. There should be appropriate seismic retrofitting in those
Hmm.
places. And as to avoid landslides, we can use technologies like geosynthetic meshes, which can avoid rock slippage and mitigate the damage through landslides.
The government has now begun the scheme of the vibrant villages, which is basically development of the villages in the border areas. Now, most of our northern border lies in the unstable Himalayan areas, right? So, how do
Yes.
you reconcile the development of villages, infrastructure, and the preservation or the protection of that area?
The areas in the northern region, yes, they are in the seismically active zone. They are vulnerable, and we need to make development there. But at the same time, we should consider the ecological implications of it, and we should not do any development which goes beyond the carrying capacity of the environment. At the same time, development doesn't necessarily have to be industries and all, but we can also focus on agriculture. If you take the example of Uttarakhand, there is a lot of scope of promoting agriculture and horticulture there, because Uttarakhand also ranks among the top states of the country when it comes to export preparedness index.
Okay. What do you understand by cyber security? I'm changing the track now. Cyber security.
Cybersecurity includes strategies and techniques by which we can protect the citizens, the government, infrastructure, and everything from cyber attacks, the software online attacks, which can damage our infrastructure.
Can you please talk a bit more about cybersecurity as a part of our own national security structures?
Yes, sir. Cybersecurity is vital for national security because we have a lot of critical data and information infrastructure. So there have also been hacking attacks on important institutions like AIMS, etc., which can lead to a breach of privacy of individuals. And by hacking, they can also control many other aspects like banking information, aeroplanes, etc. So in this regard, it becomes vital to ensure cybersecurity.
Vamshee, the problem these days is that most of the data movement takes place through servers in different countries. Even if the initial server, like NIC server, the data is stored in Delhi or Bangalore, etc., within India, but when you are actually sharing data, it goes all over the world. With that data having gone to the different countries where we have no control over the server, how do you enforce the security process?
Yes, sir, that is definitely a challenge. And to deal with that, we have been emphasizing more on data localization. We have also asking the important media houses, important houses like Facebook, Twitter, etc., to store the data relating to Indian citizens in India.
But if a situation like the AIMS, if you remember the stories a month ago, there was complete hacking of the AIMS server in Delhi, and the entire data was deleted, hacked, whatever it is stolen, nobody knows. How do you avoid a situation like this when there is a deliberate attempt to break into your servers?
So there are certain techniques which we can employ in this regard. They are also being done right now, like air gapping the critical infrastructure, and so that like they cannot completely intrude into the system and take away the information.
Are we doing this work anywhere at all in India?
Yes, sir. I heard that in most of the critical infrastructure areas, like banking and defense infrastructure, we are doing this air gapping technique. But I'm not really aware of what we are doing in AIMS, sir.
Okay, last question. What is BRI? And we have had a huge reservation on BRI. What was the reservation?
BRI is the Belt and Road Initiative of China, of building infrastructure and making connectivity with different nations all over the world. And the reservation we had that one of the important components of BRI, which is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, passes through the Pak-occupied Kashmir. So that is a reservation we have had, and we were against the BRI.
But elsewhere, we have no problem with the leaving the CPEC out. We have no problem about the BRI anywhere else.
I need to look into that, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, Vamshee, I saw that, you have given the revenue services as your second choice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
After IS, huh? Okay, and the number of jobs in revenue services, especially the income tax, have reduced considerably. Are you aware of that?
Revenue service, when it comes to the civil services notification, they have reduced for the last couple of years, but I see in the recent years they have been increasing again.
How many seats are available?
This year there were 120 available.
120 are available, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just tell me something, there was a time when recruitment was to the tune of 180, right? So what could be the reason for this reduction in numbers?
One reason I can think about is more and more utilization of technology, so that the requirement of manpower has come down, ma'am. And similarly, in concurrence with that, the recruitments also have come down.
Okay. So what do you think would be the reason for what kind of jobs, because of technology adoption, have been reduced?
Ma'am, mainly the jobs which involve monotonous practices, like which a human needs to do again and again. The desk jobs, etc., have been reducing, but there is again. Yes, ma'am.
Repetitive, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Yeah.
As the machines can do it in a more efficient manner and with quick pace, but there has also been rise in the jobs which need more creative nature of the human beings.
Okay. Okay. All right. Have you visited the portal, the e-portal?
Sorry, ma'am.
The tax department? No.
No, ma'am, I haven't.
No, never mind. It's okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. You saw the budget?
Actually, for the last few weeks, I have been busy because my father has had some back issues. I've been going on and off to Hyderabad. In recent times, I'm yet to follow the current affairs.
When is your interview due?
It is on April 5th, ma'am.
April 5th. Okay, there is plenty of time, and by then budget would have become old, but still not so old, right?
Yes, ma'am. I will.
Roughly, any idea as to how much money is collected by way of taxes?
No, ma'am. I need to see that.
And the size of the Indian budget?
You
haven't gone through it. I would suggest please do read up, because it's
very I definitely.
And especially because revenue services is a choice, pretty high up. So I think it's important that you do. Okay, do you know what hyperinflation is?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
When the inflation goes beyond like 20% and more, it increases. Like if we are unable to control it, then it is called as hyperinflation.
Any countries which have been affected by it in the very, very recent past?
I can think of Zimbabwe and Venezuela, ma'am, which have been affected by hyperinflation.
Good, yeah. And more recent? Okay,
I'm not aware.
It's Lebanon, and you can read up on Lebanon. Okay.
Okay.
What was happening in Sri Lanka? What about Sri Lanka?
Yes, ma'am. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has been going through a very grave economic crisis due to the reasons that it has taken unsustainable loans from nations, and its major foreign exchange reserves have taken a hit. For example, tourism and tea plantations. Tourism more because of COVID-19 and the Easter Day bombings which it has had. And the agriculture production has also gone down because of their sudden shift from conventional farming to organic farming. So
Okay.
these are the reasons for their economic crisis.
Okay, and you said having taken loans from nations, can you name any where, which has made a major impact?
They have taken unsustainable loans for short periods from China, ma'am.
Mm. And leading to a debt trap?
Sorry, ma'am.
These
Yes,
soft
ma'am.
from
Leading to debt
China, these soft loans from China to various countries, right? Is it a part of some kind of a policy on the part of China?
Yes, ma'am, it looks like that because not just Sri Lanka, but also other nations like Djibouti and Mombasa port in Kenya. Like Chinese have been investing in those nations deliberately in unsustainable places, but which have strategic importance. So the other nations have been alleging China of debt trap diplomacy.
Okay, all right. Okay, just one last question. Just staying on, why do you think the Egyptian president came on, 26th January? You could probably read up on that, yes, as to what
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the importance, What is the importance, right? Please do
Sure,
read.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Hima, Vamshee, tell me
Yes, sir.
back to the earthquakes. There was a Dutch researcher who predicted the Turkey earthquake 3 days before it happened. Do you remember his name?
No, sir, I don't remember his name, but I did see the things which he predicted, but I am not.
What was the basis of his prediction?
Sir, it is because the Anatolian fault is being sandwiched between three different plates: the African, Arabian, and European plates, and that fault line did not have any major earthquakes in that time. So the pressure was building up, and he was saying that there will be a major earthquake in this region.
No, but he predicted only 3 days before the actual earthquake that the thing is that the earthquake is going to hit very shortly.
Yes, sir.
But what is his claim? Which may be false.
I need to look into the exact claim which he has
saying
made.
something about planetary alignments with fault lines. Now he's predicted the
Okay,
next
sir.
quake in Afghanistan and Pakistan and India. Okay, tell me something. Telangana, previously combined state of Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana also was part of the Red Corridor. What is the
Yes, sir.
Red Corridor? What do you understand by that?
So, Red Corridor is a term used to define the areas in all over India which are affected by the left-wing extremism, sir.
So which districts of Telangana were affected most?
Earlier, the districts of Nalgonda, Khammam, and Warangal, these had major prevalence of left-wing extremism, sir. Now it is limited to Bhadradri Kottagudem and Mulugu districts, sir.
So, since you've been growing up in Nalgonda and it was a LWE infested area, how did it affect your, life?
My life in
your father's profession as a civil surgeon would have been, very difficult to be in that area.
in the region I live, I haven't seen or I haven't read about any incidents of Naxalism or left-wing extremism, sir.
Okay. Okay. What are the main demands
Sorry, sir.
What are the main demands of Naxalites?
Sir, one of the main demands is that they want development in the region, and also they also are with the communist parties where they want political representation.
So then why don't we give it to them? Why don't we allow them to, come and fight the elections? What is preventing them to come and fight elections?
They probably look at it as a different strategy, sir.
What is their main strategy then to get power?
They use violence as a means.
So what do you call it?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm
Gaining
unable
power
to
through
think.
violence, overthrowing the present government through violence.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've been teaching underprivileged children. What is the new education policy of the government of India?
So the new education policy has brought a few changes, sir. One is it has changed the structure of the education in India from the earlier 2 plus 10 plus 4 to 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4. And also alongside that, it has been emphasizing more on vocational training and providing skills to children, and including experiential learning and not just rote learning among children.
So what is the difference? One major difference from the previous policy?
So the major differences have been on this, the change in structure, and they have also said to discontinue the MPhil course.
No, one something to do with exiting the school, college. That is one major difference.
Okay, sir.
What is that difference?
I need to read that again, sir. I'm unable to recall that.
Earlier, you had to do a 3-year degree to get a BA degree, 3-year course to do a BA degree. Now you can exit at any level and get a certificate for that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I will
One more small thing. In primary schools and lower at the school level, they are now saying that the children can be promoted without taking an exam. So what is your opinion on that? Should a child be allowed to, go to the next standard without passing an exam? I mean, if he doesn't know anything about the whole year, he has studied something and he doesn't know anything about it, why should he be promoted? What is your opinion on that?
Sir, I believe there needs to be an exam gauging the basic skills the child has, and whatever literacy he has had, the lessons he has learned, and at least the basic lessons should be tested, the basic knowledge which he or she has acquired in the class.
So that means the education policy is wrong.
I need to look into the particulars of it, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, you see, they've taken some measures when they are promoting children without taking an exam. They have taken some additional measures to offset that thing. What are they? Do you remember what they are?
No, sir. I'm not aware of this regard. I need to read about this.
Okay. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Vamshee, coming
Yes, sir.
Andhra Pradesh has 3 capitals, right?
Yes, sir. It was a proposed plan, but now they do not have 3 capitals.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 3. Can you name the 3?
One is Visakhapatnam, sir. The other one was Amravati, and the other is Kurnool.
Okay, so executive, legislature, judiciary, which one is which?
Legislative is Amravati, sir. Executive was supposed to be Visakhapatnam, and Kurnool was supposed to be the judicial capital.
Okay, let's do similarly for South Africa now. Right? South Africa has 3 capitals?
Yes, sir.
So which one is what? Which are the 3 capitals of South Africa and which is what?
I'm not very much aware of which is what, sir, but I can remember one of them was Pretoria and another is Cape Town. And the third I'm unable to recall right now.
So Pretoria is like Visakhapatnam or like Amravati?
I'm not aware of that, sir, also.
Okay, why don't you try? Which one is which? So Bloemfontein, Pretoria, and Cape Town, right? The three.
Yes, sir.
So which one is what?
If I have to take a guess, maybe executive capital, sir. But I'm not really sure.
Okay, right. You say you like to play basketball, right? 3-on-3 basketball.
Yes, sir.
How is it different from the regular basketball, except for the 3-on-3? Any other rules are there?
Yes, sir. There is only one half court
Mhm.
and there is only one basket to play
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the ball is also different because it is a size 6 ball with a weight of size 7 ball.
Mhm.
And the rules also are different. Like one who scores 21 points first wins in this game,
Mhm.
unlike the conventional 5-on-5 basketball.
Okay.
It is a 10-minute game, sir. The 5-on-5 basketball has 4 quarters of 10 minutes.
Okay. Right. So now I see that you passed out in 2018, right? Okay. So
Yes, sir.
what has inspired you to continue preparing for civil services, for so long?
Sir, my decision to come into civil services has been primarily because my father is a doctor who is very passionate about conducting medical camps.
Mhm.
I went there and I have also seen that there were schools, but no teacher attending there, hospitals, but doctors were not present there, especially in rural villages, remote villages. Then I wanted to be one of those people who can bridge that gap. I've started doing things at my individual capacities, like giving clothes, food, etc. But I felt like getting into civil services would provide me a better platform to bring a positive change. And
Okay.
after getting into this preparation, I have been into the process
Mhm.
throughout the year, and I have also been helping other students through an NGO, sir.
Okay.
So I have.
You have sociology as optional, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your view on the economic weaker section reservation, which was a recent amendment, from a sociological perspective?
Yes, sir. I believe it provides an affirmative action for the economically weaker sections to have better access to education and further better employment opportunities, sir. So I would be in support of the EWS reservations.
Don't you think it's very difficult to implement such a reservation? Financial situation changes year on year. So 1 year I'm very poor, next year I'm not, third year I'm again maybe, fourth year I'm not. So how wouldn't it lead to a lot of litigation and issues which are make it very unclear for the administration to actually implement it?
Yes, sir. But the EWS certificate, which is considered as a criteria to provide reservation, has to be updated on a year-on-year basis.
Okay. So you're
So
saying
that can
take care of things?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are other social issues as well, right? There is the hijab controversy, right? So, did you go through the judgment of the hijab issue by the Supreme Court?
Yes, sir. I did go through it, sir.
Okay. And so, what was it? What did the Honorable Justice say?
It was a split judgment, sir. One of them said that a uniform is required in the schools, as schools he considered as qualified public spaces. And one of the judges who was in opposition of that move said that it is a ticket to education, especially for children from the minority. So he was in support of letting them wear the hijab.
Okay, right. On the other hand, there have been anti-hijab movement, in protests in Iran. Can you talk about that?
Sir, in Iran, the issue was of morality policing, where a woman has lost her life because of the morality police trying to impose the dress code, and they want women to wear hijab.
Okay. Let's talk about caste in politics in Telangana, right? So, How do you see it in the state of Andhra, Telangana?
Yes, sir. Caste has been quite an important aspect of politics here because the caste has been used as a vote bank, and many of the people, most of the important positions in different parties are held by some prominent castes, sir.
Okay, right. So, what's your view on whether politics and democracy has strengthened caste, or what has happened in your view?
There are certain aspects where democracy has diluted the aspects of caste, sir, like promoting equality, and there is representation for everyone, and they can move up the ladder. Affirmative action is also one of those things. But at the same time, it has also strengthened in some regards, providing reservation as well, and also the rise of caste-based political parties.
Yeah. There's a growing violence against women. We see
Sorry, sir. Can you please repeat
yeah,
that?
so I'm repeating. So there are cases of violence against females. Like you hear living relationship. There's a girl who got killed and her body parts were distributed all across the forest in Delhi. There's a recent case as well. How do you see it from a sociological perspective?
Yes, sir. Live-in relationships have been considered by people as an alternative of marriage. It is because of growing individualism, and it is a bit of distancing from the familial structure, the joint family structure. So in line with that, they are taking up live-in relationships. But yes, sir, in some instances, it did have negative consequences, like in the cases we have.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Amit. All right, thank you, Sai. Right, so Hima. Okay, right. Thank you, Hima.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Vamshee,
Yes, sir.
time for reality check now. When is
Yes,
your
sir.
interview? When is your interview scheduled?
It's on April 5th, sir.
April 5th. Is the date? Can I write it?
You just said.
Okay, I didn't.
5th April.
All right, April 5th. So you have around 1.5 months to prepare for
Yes,
it.
sir.
Right? Plenty of time. My assessment, Vamshee, is that listening to your answers and your articulation, you are a very strong candidate.
Thank you, sir.
You are a very strong candidate on grounds of your very clear thinking. Wherever I found that you had sufficient data and knowledge base on the issue, you were able to give very reasoned answers. Could be different from others, but they were reasoned, they're well-argued cases, and you were confident of yourself. But there were areas where there were huge gaps in the knowledge. And then when you came across those gaps, you faltered, which is natural. So basically, what you need to do really is you cannot cover all the gaps. You cannot know everything. But at least on issues of current significance, current issues, from your own data, you should actually begin to fill up those gaps and read optionals on your background, whatever you have given there in terms of geophysics, the prediction or forecast of the earthquakes, all those things you can basically read upon. What you should do from now on in this 1.5 months, take 50 sheets of A4 size papers. Okay. Each sheet should be devoted to one issue. That issue can be related to your DAF, any issue, your hobbies, your family background, the place where you're living, etc. The choices you have made or your family has made. One issues from there and your optional issues and current issues. On each issue, write down whatever you know already. either from books or from whatever you have heard, write down. And then every day, keep on adding to that, on that body of knowledge, whatever new you hear. You'll find that as you keep on adding from either newspapers, etc., as you keep on adding, your knowledge about the issues and your thinking about the issues will build up further. And that will make you a very strong candidate even within the space of 2 to 3 weeks. You will see the change yourself.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, that is what you need to do. Otherwise, just with the exception of this thing, like budget, I mean, you're choosing IRS as a second option and you have no
Yes.
idea about the budget. Isn't it so?
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
sir.
what you need to cover. Good. Incidentally, Johan, the 3 capitals of South Africa. Do you know why South Africa chose to have 3 capitals?
No, sir, I'm not.
Very interesting thing. Since I spent 4 years in South Africa, the way the country became a democratic country, Nelson Mandela specifically chose not to have one capital because they have concentration of all the powers in one capital, while one city, while other cities also played an equally strong role in South Africa's democratic movement, like Cape Town. Cape Town was the only city in South Africa which, despite being majority white and the citadel of apartheid policies, came together with Nelson Mandela, where Archbishop Tutu lived. So, interesting history. So, your chief minister tried to follow the same history, but he was denied. So, it is Cape Town, the capital for the judiciary. Pretoria, you are right, executive capital, and Johannesburg is the constitutional or the judiciary seat.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Even though the constitutional court was not there when they became democratic, it was built afterward. Anyway, so it is just that something that I just tidbits, but build up the body of the knowledge. And within 3 weeks, you will see the difference. All right. All
Sure,
the
sir.
best.
Thank you,
All
sir.
the best to you. You will do well. You will do well. But I don't think you were prepared to really do the interviews. You have been either taking it casually or he ho jayega. We'll see later.
No,
Not anymore.
no, sir. Actually, I am. You are right, sir. I am yet to prepare, and this was at a short notice. I was not aware that the interview was there today. So
Now, just think of yourself that you are an officer and you should be prepared at any given time. That's all.
definitely, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Yes,
Vamshee,
ma'am.
I think, this was a good experience for you that you had, first-hand experience about the kind of questions that can be asked, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am. Definitely.
depending upon your choices, certain questions will be given more primacy over the others, right? So,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
of course, everything arising from your DAF and current affairs, right? And budget will always play a role because of your choice. Okay.
Yes,
And even if it wasn't your choice, budget is a key document of Government of India. It's awaited with a lot of bated breath, and there's a lot of discussion around it. It's a way of government to tell where its policy focus is. So you need to be prepared on that. You come out as a thinking person. Your answers on caste, class, showed that you were thinking and giving a reply which was seeming like a well considered reply, right? You're giving both aspects. So I really wish you all the best. You will know where the gaps in knowledge are, after this interview. Hear it again, and you'll know where you need to kind of lay emphasis. Also, some historical backgrounds can be asked. Vijayanagar Empire, Chola Empire, right? Vijayanagar Empire is your state, involves your state, and Chola is again another southern state. So
Yes.
they can ask you the important, and of course, the North Indian Empire also can be asked. And what lessons do you derive from history again? Okay. So wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Hima, Vamshee,
Yes, sir.
how many marks did you get in your last interview, UPSC interview?
Last year I got 146, sir.
146. So this year, I think you will get much more because you come across as a very honest, thinking and pleasant personality. You've got a good way of, talking about things. and carrying on the conversation. But as Sir and everybody else pointed out, there are obviously some gaps about your own DAF, your state. So you've got plenty of time to pick it up and upgrade your knowledge. So especially since Turkey, I think Turkey might go into the background when your interview time comes. Turkey earthquake, but then since you've got geophysics, people are connected to the earthquake, and everything about earthquakes building design, everything can be asked from you. Then because you're in Telangana and this was the red corridor, you can be asked if a police officer is sitting on the board, they will definitely ask you about the history of the movement, Naxalite movement, details, what are the aims, objectives, what do they want to do, how to suppress them. Supposing you're posted as a police officer there or a SDM there, then how will you tackle those insurgency? Those kind of things can normally be asked on that. Otherwise, I think you are fairly good and you'll get much more marks than you did last time. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
And wish your father all the best. I think he's not
Thank
well.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Wish him all the best. Speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Vamshee, social issues this is sir has mentioned sheets, 50 sheets. So at least 15 sheets on social issues, right?
Sure, sir.
It doesn't matter which year. I think you know very well, right? Last year, what they asked. Right?
Last year, my interview was almost entirely on geology, sir. So actually, in the subjects column, I have filled geology and geophysics. I have basic idea, but it was
okay. Like, see, what happens is that if that's happening, you have to be, capable of saying I don't know, with a very thick skin, right? So that they go towards sociology, right? Because I think what would have happened is you would have tried to answer because you're a very honest person, right? As far as I'm judging you, what you would have done is that ye mujhe aana chahiye. So you would have answered, and that would have got your score down. Okay,
No,
instead
sir,
of being thick-skinned and just saying I don't know and making them shift to sociology.
no, sir. Actually, I actually tried to do that because I have also reiterated that I have only basic knowledge about geology.
But reiterate that. Just say I don't know.
No, just 1 second. Don't, if you have chosen, if you have geophysics as subject that you've chosen, don't say that you only have basic knowledge about geophysics. Nobody will accept you. You have to prepare for it. Okay. And number two,
yes, sir.
Number two, if you want the interview to go in the direction of sociology, right in the time when you're introducing yourself, you can drop a hint that sociology is the area which is your strong point.
Okay.
The result of that will be that either they will say that yes, sociology is your strong point. They will not ask you any questions of sociology. But more likely, you're somebody or the other from, they will ask you some questions and then you can carry on from there in the strong area. I said that introduction, when you introduce yourself, that's an opportunity for you to steer the interview in a particular direction. All right?
Okay, sir.
You can just start with the fact that your optional is sociology, right? Okay. That's enough of a, okay, now we said, okay, chalo, social issues, all right? Because that's a place you can score high if you answer well, right? And because everybody, like all the 5 panelists, would, if you give a good answer, they'll all be impressed. There.
Yes, sir.
Geophysics, right? I don't know. So ma'am doesn't know. Only sir knows. And we don't know whether you've given a great answer or not.
Earthquake to sabhi jante hain. Somebody will ask you.
Earthquake is very likely. And then Latur, they'll come to Latur and Bhuj, the Indian earthquakes.
Yes,
the guidelines and all, right? The NDMA guidelines. Those have to be prepared.
All right.
Yeah.
All right then. Anything that you
sir, I had one question. Like, actually, in this national education policy question, sir was asking. So I was not aware of the guidelines, and I tried to say no, but sir did not shift to the other topic. So should I have dealt it another way?
Doesn't matter. First of all, certain policy guidelines in the areas you need to know. Now, national education policy, it will be very strange if you say you don't know the guidelines. But if you do not actually know, simply say that I've forgotten or I had read sometime. Simply say that you don't know, you don't remember.
Oh, I asked you only because you've been mentoring underprivileged children. So it's
Yes, sir.
something to do with the education policy. So that is why I started asking you all that. If you had not mentioned that children, then I would have asked you something else.
Well, that's done. It's in the
So it doesn't matter if you don't know. You can say I don't know.
Nobody will
Yes,
take it.
sir. I wanted to ask, like, as I was not aware in 3 or 4 questions, but how should I have said something else so that the stream of questions should have shifted to another dimension? Can I have done something differently?
You can do that if you're confident about it. You can try and doing that, and the question will shift to something else.
Yeah, I shifted
Sorry.
now from budget. You told me you haven't read. So then I moved
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
Vamshee,
Uh,
Yes, sir.
the only escape route when you are being asked questions on the area that you do not know about is to say that you do not know. You cannot tell or hint to the panel that you are more comfortable answering questions on the other area. It is their choice. It may work.
Yes.
it may not work.
Actually, yeah.
So simply straightforward say that you do not know, you do not remember. That's the only safe way to get out of it.
Okay, sir.
Leave it to the board, then leave
Yeah.
it to the panel. Okay. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
All the
Thank you,
best.
You
sir.
do well, you come out
Don't
as,
worry.
even if you don't know, you
Even if
come
you don't
out
know,
as
you
a
come out as good.
pleasant person, as someone who they'd like to have on board.
Do another mock after maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. I will work on the suggestions provided.
After you are prepared properly, 3 weeks. Don't run around doing mocks after mocks after mocks. You are only wasting your time.
Yes,
But
sir.
that's okay. You got a sense of what can be asked, how it can be asked, how it can be turned and changed, and how it doesn't change. Right?
Okay.
Yes,
All the
ma'am.
best. All the
Yeah.
best.
Thank you, sir. Thank
All the
you.
best.
Thank
And
you.
all the best for your father. I hope he recovers soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.